So welcome to Jur, to Fresno State. We are honored, and thank you for giving us permission to record. And so class, let's give her a hand. Unmute yourselves. All right. So Ms. DeJour is a longtime yoga practitioner teacher and she has taught several different groups, and her mission is to make yoga accessible to all, which is really wonderful, especially for people who sometimes don't feel comfortable in these different yoga spaces. So welcome, DeJour, and it's to you.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be back. Dr. Jenny and Cal State Fresno, thank you so much for having me come again. Being here with you the last time really meant a lot to me. And I hope that, I think did we record last time? I hope we did.
We didn't.
Okay. So yeah, my dream is just to have these videos move forward and move on to people that, they might be at work or in classes that cannot be here with us in the present moment. And so recording is always good. So a little bit about me. I have been practicing yoga for 22 years now as a yoga student. And in 2011, I somehow found my way into a yoga teacher's training, even though I didn't have intentions of being a teacher. A lot of times the way they market these trainings is to say, even if you don't want to be a teacher, you can use this training to deepen your understanding of yoga. Okay, so they're just not looking for a potential yoga teachers. They also, and there's a lot of people that do go through those trainings that never teach. That's not their mission in life. It wasn't my mission in life either. I'm a flight attendant, a 40-year flight attendant. So I'm what they call a veteran flight attendant or a senior mama at Delta Airlines, because once you get past 30 years seniority, they're calling you senior mama, which is respectful. It's not derogatory, but it is in our industry how they call us veterans, that we've been around a lot and seen a lot and gone through a lot of different changes through the aviation industry, especially commercial travel. So I went into this training, and while I was in there, I just read an article written by a San Quentin lifer. He's a man in San Quentin, incarcerated man. He was never getting out. So he had life without parole is what his sentence would be called. And he said he lived for the 1 hour a week that the yoga man came. So the yoga man is a free man named James Fox. He has a program called the Prison Yoga Project. And a couple times a week, he'd go into, I'm sure he's probably back in there now that we've sort of kind of moved past pandemic, sort of. But, for those other 3 years, all the prisons were shut down for visitors and contractors and what are we called? Instructors or training programs or programming because of the pandemic. And so the incarcerated man lived for the hour a week that James Fox showed up to teach them yoga. That struck me in my spirit, and something in me woke up, and I said, that's where I want to teach. I had no idea there was a thing called prison yoga or jail yoga or any other yoga other than gym yoga and studio yoga. So I found my way to a group of teachers that was teaching in the LA County jail system. I'm in Los Angeles, by the way. And so I started teaching with them, and I've been teaching since probably about 14 in and out of the prison and state prisons, federal prisons, and county jail systems here around Los Angeles. And those populations, because they cannot get to yoga, and they probably would never have tried it otherwise, that they were trying something different while they were incarcerated, those groups are my true heartbeat because they heal so much from the yoga program. So if they can heal from the yoga programs, then the rest of us can use yoga as a healing tool. And we use yoga to build resilience. So if we've had challenges in our life, in our family life, with finding work, with getting our education, we can use a regular yoga practice to create resilience in us, to help us to power through things. As interesting as, I was gonna say as silly as it sounds, but as interesting as it sounds is, how can yoga help me study better? Well, I'll tell you, a lot of children, young children in school, they have yoga programs throughout their school day. They may not go out and go onto a yoga mat, but they will do yoga at their desk. So the yoga helps us to focus. It helps us to retain information. So our memory improves, our concentration gets more fine-tuned, where we can concentrate without being distracted by things around us with implementing a yoga practice. We use the term practice, yoga practice, law practice, medical practice, because we're always trying to improve ourselves. And so I have been fortunate in my yoga experience, my yoga teaching experience, to teach in places like Cal State Fresno. I have taught for UCLA, special events. I had a program with sex trafficked women here in LA before the pandemic. I would go and meet at their, it's called a diversion program, excuse me, and help them to build resilience for the situation that they were in. And the program was trying to help them to exit that lifestyle. A lot of them are under the control of other people. So the trained counselors help them to navigate their way free from being under control by another human being, which is another word for enslavement. I have taught foster kids. So my interest is not teaching in the yoga studios that are all beautiful and perfect looking. Mine is for teaching the rest of us that are having life challenges, that don't have money to pay $30 to go into a pretty yoga studio, where we get down and dirty and do yoga in a parking lot or in the city county park, because that's the only space we have. So we can do yoga anywhere. We don't have to be in a yoga class. We don't have to be on a yoga mat. I taught a class at 9 a.m. We did mat yoga. It's predominantly Hispanic group of women that I'm representing a community clinic, but we're still doing it on Zoom. And so we don't need to, we don't need any special clothing. I said this last time. I got me a little David Bowie t-shirt the other day, and I'm in some street pants versus $100 legging. We don't need that. We can wear anything we have that is movable and we have room in. So all that's marketing that you see on the magazine covers, none of that is real. We don't need any of that. We just need our time and our intention to start practicing yoga. I encourage you. I don't have a YouTube page or any, I do have a free class every Wednesday morning, which Jenny will share with you. I hope you have, I'll send it to you later, but I don't have any YouTube or any TikTok. I don't have any of that. You can go onto YouTube and just search bedtime yoga to help prepare you to go to sleep. Chair yoga, which is what we're going to do. Yoga for beginners, yoga for arthritis, whatever yoga for us with, well, I don't have that anymore, but menstrual cramps, yoga for migraine. There's yoga techniques for almost every ailment that the human body suffers. And if you can't get out of bed, there's bed yoga. Okay, so there's no, I say, short of being a deceased body, everyone can do yoga, no matter what. If they're in a wheelchair, doesn't matter. On crutches, it doesn't matter. I've taught amputees that were in gang violence, that had lost a leg or whatever from gun violence. It's for everyone. Yoga, it's not for just the little petite people, the little 20-year-olds. I'm 65. I still practice yoga. So that is my lecture on yoga and just do it. I want to start over again and give acknowledgement. I am on the land of the Tongva and Gabrielino First Nations. This is the nations that this part of these people belonged to this part of the world. And this part of the world belonged to them. It was theirs. It was stolen by the colonizers and renamed Los Angeles. I want to give honor and thanks to their stewardship. I feel very fortunate to live in California. And if you ever want to find out whose land you occupy, or if you came from another part of the world, you just do Indigenous Peoples of Pomona, the Indigenous Peoples of Australia, and it will tell you the nations that were occupying the land before it was stolen from them. If you have any injuries, please be mindful of your body. And what I mean by that, my arm was broken 20 years ago. When I go back like this, it doesn't feel so good. It doesn't hurt, but it's a hitch. So I just bring it to the place where it's comfortable. So don't do anything out of your comfort level that could cause, well, I have two cats here, that could cause any harm to your body. Even if you've never tried yoga before, you are still your best yoga teacher. If you need to take a little break, a quick break, water, bathroom, rest, make that happen for yourself. I'm going to offer variations of some of the poses that we do so you can try out different things. That being said, let me move on to what I call a grounding. So this would be very helpful to you all when you're testing. We're just going to sit quietly. I'm going to take you through a few sensory prompts. So sit in a comfortable way, okay? And then just listen to the sounds that are in your space. Listen to sounds that are outside your space. We notice our feet touching the floor. We notice the backs of our legs, the backs of our thighs touching our chair. We have an awareness that we're held by earth. Looking in the room you're in, and you've been in this room a million times, I'm assuming, just look around at the things that are in the room and look at these things as if it's your first time being in this space. So this is the sense of sight or vision. And we're looking around to just see the different things, the textures, colors here. So I use these techniques every time I go to the income tax guy, because I know I'm going to owe the state and federal some money. So it's very anxiety creating for me. But when he's a nice guy, it's not about him. When I'm in his lobby waiting my turn, I orient myself to the space I'm in. I've been in that office 25 times. He's been my guy for, I don't even know if it's more than 25 years, but I use this if I go, like I had to go get a dental implant last month, the beginnings of it. It was awful. I was so nervous when I got into that office and then into the little room that I started to use what I teach. I practice what I preach. I'm looking around the space, looking at all the different things, checking on my breath. We're going to move on to breath in a second. And I grounded myself and kind of got less nervous. It was still awful, but less nervous. So now we're going to move into our breath. We're breathing through our nose while we're together. And honestly, it's the most efficient way to breathe is through your nose, unless you're stuffy or sinus or allergy, where your nasal passage is blocked. A couple of reasons why: the hair filters out any dust, some of this dust we can't even see with our eyes. And the brain regulates how much air, what nostril takes in the breath in, what side. So it turns on and off, and you don't even know that's going on. And also it keeps that inhale warm and moist, so that when it comes through to the lungs, it is already warm and it's moist. Mouth breathing, just not if something is blocking you from breathing through your nose, but mouth breathing, you take a breath in, your mouth totally dries up and you can feel that. You're sucking in invisible debris and the breath gets cold. So when that breath hits your lungs, the lungs have to warm that breath back up. So it's not so efficient way to breathe. There are mouth breaths in yoga for certain reasons, like cooling the body. Okay, but under normal conditions, when we practice yoga, it is highly recommended to use the nasal breath, and those are the benefits. Also, wait, I forgot the biggest one. It helps to reset our nervous system. So when we are overwhelmed or anxiety creeps up on us, we have a flashback of something that is very traumatizing or uncomfortable or painful, if we can just pull our mind together just for a quick second to say, let me breathe through this, and just, so we're breathing together through our nose. Let's do 5 breaths. I want to name these breaths for peace. I want to think about those poor children in Texas that were victims of a mentally ill person. And so these are 5 breaths for peace. Again, sit up tall, whichever way you're sitting, just sit up tall and shoulders are relaxed down. And just take inhales all the way, fill your lungs. And then exhales to let all of the air out. Big breath in. Exhale it all out. We're breathing for peace. Inhale, big breath, peace in the Ukraine, peace for the Ukrainians. Exhale out. I think we have 2 more. Breathe in big. Exhale. Last one, breathe in. Peace on earth. Exhale. Okay, so thank you for going through that. You can also add smells, what do you smell in your room? Like if it's breakfast time or lunchtime, or you can do colors, what colors jump out at you. You can do anything you want. You can pick what works for you. It doesn't have to be just the things that I've suggested. So I'm gonna move back in my chair. For those of you at home, if your chair, real quick, if your chair is so high that your feet are not flat on the floor, you can always grab a towel. This is a blanket, but you can grab a towel and put your feet on it to lift the floor up to you, because I want you comfortable. If you're tall and the chair is too low, you can then put the blanket or the towel under you so that it lifts you up away from the floor. So that's one way that we accommodate ourselves. I taught a class a couple months ago at a senior center, and they had really comfortable chairs, but they were really high. And I taught like it was chair yoga. I taught with my tiptoes the whole class. There's nothing I could do about it. There were no blankets in there. It's a community center. So I just had to roll with it, and it was okay. No one was harmed. But I want you to be comfortable. If you have any questions, can you please save them to the end so I don't forget? And we can take them if you happen, or comment, doesn't do, because it could be a comment too. So we're starting here in what's called seated mountain pose. If I were standing up, this is mountain pose. So we adapt these poses to chair yoga, okay? Hands on top of your thighs. I want you to just do some, what a friend of mine that's a yoga teacher in Florida calls these stir the pot. So we're just winding the torso. And you might think this is for your upper body. It's actually for your hips. And so if you have tight hips can come from a variety of things. Sometimes poor posture or furniture that's not very supportive, or tight muscles in the hips, tight joints. And so they're really called Sufi grinds, and Sufis are mystics in Southeast Asia. I think that's where they are, mystics. But my friend calls them stir the pot, which makes it much more relatable to me because I can see a pot being stirred. Let's reverse and go the other way. So I want you to think about your breath. When you lean forward, exhale. When you come upright, breathe in, okay? And so also thinking about as we go along, I do some of these in the car, depending on what I'm speaking of. I do them at the red light. If you're a passenger, you can do them the whole ride. But don't just think about yoga in a class, in a formal time, because a lot of times you're like, oh, I would love to go to yoga, but I don't have time. I have to go to work, the kids, and so then we don't go. So think about yoga all day long. I bought a little book, I don't know where it is, but it's called Yoga While You Wait. Let's come back to stillness. They had photos of people doing yoga at the bus stop, at the laundromat, in the supermarket, just all these random places where people were doing just a yoga pose, not a whole class, but just a yoga pose. Yoga all day long. They stole my thought, Yoga While You Wait. They didn't steal it, but it's kind of fun to find that book. Now we'll do TikTok. So just rocking side to side. I'm going to be naming target areas of certain poses, and I'm going to also be naming pay attention to this throughout our class, which pay attention to this might be a way to keep your attention on what we're doing, because yoga, sometimes the mind just starts to wander. But the target area is sometimes what muscles are being used. So just rocking side to side. I want you to notice the compression. So I'm leaning to my left. I feel my left thigh is compressed onto my chair. My right thigh is up a little, off the cushion a little, and just focusing on that. And that keeps our attention in what we're doing instead of thinking about as soon as we're done, what's for lunch, what am I going to do, blah, blah, blah. And rocking back and forth. These are, we call them TikToks, and just side to side. And you come back to stillness. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Okay, this in yoga is called prayer hands. In the language of yoga, which is Sanskrit, Sanskrit is the language of yoga. Back in the day, this was the language that was spoken, and the language used when yoga was created. So in Sanskrit, it's called Anjali, which means prayer. Mudra. Mudra means hand yoga. So we've seen religious statues and peace signs and Buddha and Jesus and all these other religious deities with different hand placements. Those are all called mudras. So we have our hands here in prayer, hands or Anjali Mudra. want you to sweep your arms out really wide, take a breath in, and bring your palms to touch above your head. And look at my arms. They're straight and intentional. They're not halfway and thoughtless. We are really putting intention into our movement. So palms touch, exhale down. We'll do 4 more. Sweep out, breathe in, lift. Arms straight, sit up tall. Exhale down. I forgot to mention, sit up away from the back of your chair now, please. Sweep out, inhale, lift, palms touch. Exhale down. We'll do 2 more. Sweep out, inhale, lift. Exhale down, and see what you notice in your shoulder joints from this upward movement. So I am a flight attendant. I was on the plane all day yesterday from LA back to DC and back. And so everything on me is tight right now, but my shoulders are tight. So here I want you to hook your thumbs together, extend your arms over your head, and just hold here. Try to pull your biceps, the muscle at the top of the arm, towards your ears if possible. Okay, and sitting up tall, just want you to reach your fingertips up. Hold and breathe. We're moving our breath through the nose as we discussed. The breath is slow, full. The inhales are slow, full, and deep. So big breaths in and then empty the lungs totally. So next inhale, let's inhale here. Exhale and then lean over to your right. And so the arms stay straight and the left shoulder will want to come forward. We want it to stay back. So we're doing a side bend. And then inhale to center, exhale left side, right shoulder stays pulled back. Inhale to center, exhale to the right, check on that left shoulder. Inhale to center, check on the right shoulder. We're going to lean to the left. And then breathe into middle. We're going to hold to the right this time. Exhale to the right. Hold here. Straighten out your arms, reaching the fingertips far, far toward the right. And then inhale to center. Exhale to the left and hold here. Take a couple breaths. And then inhale to center. And then swan dive the arms and notice how they feel as they come down. And the muscles are going back to their original places, and that's called rebounding. So let's sit with that. Sit back in your chair. Just relax for a couple of breaths. I want you to do what's called a body scan. See if you notice any difference than when we first started. And you may not. There's no wrong answer. Just see what you notice. Do you feel a little calmer? Do you feel a little more energized? How do you feel? My shoulders feel, I'll say they feel alive because we brought blood flow to our shoulders from that movement and the muscles in our arms. Okay, sit up again away from the back of your chair. Bring your hands into prayer hands, Anjali Mudra. Sweep out, take a big breath in. This time we're going to do a flat back swan dive. So leaning forward, keep your back flat. Bring the hands on the outsides of the ankles. That was the exhale. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Arms go out and up overhead like we did before. Exhale, flat back, swan dive down. So this movement, if you all are troubled by a sore low back all the time or tension in the low back, let's reverse come up. These forward bends in yoga are for you. Okay, exhale, forward bend. So we're going to hold here. Let the arms dangle. Again, the spine is long and straight. It's not humped. It's not curved. We're extending the spine, which means lift your chest a bit. Let the arms hang on the outsides of your legs. It becomes a little hard to breathe like this, but do the best that you can. But what we are doing is we're allowing the muscles in the lower part of the back to struggle first, and then they release. And we're waiting for that release. So again, if you suffer from sore, especially the lower back, we're going to do some things for my mid back is sore a lot. But for now, we're talking about the low back. But these are things that you can do at any time. You don't have to wait until your back hurts. You can do it, as part of your morning ritual or midday or whatever. And you just hang like this and allow the muscles to release, and they will eventually. Over time, you might lessen your low back problem over time. So let's inhale, reverse the arms, come up. Palms touch, and then exhale, palms down. And just do a little body scan and see how your low back, if you notice any difference. So all of these moves are bringing blood flow to certain parts of the body. I mean, yes, blood is flowing all over, but certain muscles are working in some of the things we're doing, so they get a little extra burst of blood flow in those regions. Inhale here. Going to twist to the right and bring your left elbow either hovering above your right knee, or you can touch the right knee. Okay, we're going to hold here, lift the right elbow and look at the right elbow. This is a twist, forward bend, seated forward bend twist is what this is called. So I want to talk about the yoga twist. We're going to be here for a couple breaths, so just listen while I explain what's going on. The forward bend again is good for low back. The twist is good for a compressed spine. So gravity's job is to hold us down on earth, but it also pulls us down in a way that sometimes our spines get compressed throughout the day. And so these spinal twists in yoga help us to battle that or fight that or resist that. And so they're called spinal twists. There's a whole variety of them in yoga, and that is their job, is just to help lengthen the spine. And they also kind of massage the internal organs a little bit, because when we twist, the organs get moved out of their regular position. Okay, so we're gonna come up, breathe in. See how the muscles on on the left rib side feel when they come up. When you come up, they're rebounding to their natural spot. You might feel a sensation there. And then exhale, right elbow to left knee. So hovering is an option. You don't have to touch or touch. Lifting the left elbow, look at the left elbow. Hold here and breathe. So turn your torso. Try to turn your body in a way that your left shoulder is facing the ceiling as much as you can. That kind of enhances the twist of your spine. Hold here and breathe. Take big, full breaths. So we as humans are typically oxygen deprived because we don't really use the capacity of our lungs very well. And so you might feel a little, not a buzz, that's not the right word, but you might, when we're done, feel a little more awake or energized, because your body will be full of oxygen by the time we get done. Inhale to the center, come back up. We're going directly back to the first side. So hover over the right knee with the left elbow, or touch the right knee with the left elbow. Look to the right, toward the right elbow, and then look down between your feet. Look to the right. Look down. Last time, look to the right. Look down and hold your gaze looking towards your feet. Twist and breathe. So turn your right shoulder up as much as you can to get a deep spiraling in your spine. Breathe here. Checking on the breath. Check on your jaw too. The jaw should be loose. It shouldn't be clenched. This should not be painful. If it's painful, come out of it a little. Move out of it just a little bit and test the waters, okay? Facial muscles should be natural, just relaxed and neutral and in their natural place. We're not frowning, we're not grimacing. You can smile if you want to. I'm not asking for a forced smile, but just a natural face, okay? My teacher, one of them calls it a sweetened face. Just natural, no expression. If you want to smile, smile, but just instead of grimacing or frowning or straining, we're not doing any of that with yoga. Inhale to center. We're going back to the second side last time. Hover the right elbow over the left knee. Lift the left elbow. Look at it. Look down between your feet. Look at it. Left elbow. Look down. Look at the left elbow. And look down and hold your gaze downward. I'm going to hold this shape for just a few more breaths. Breathing through your nose, relaxing the jaw and the facial muscles. Keep the breath moving. And then inhale, come up, arms up overhead, and then swan dive the arms down. Let's sit back, take a couple breaths, quick little break here. So noticing any changes on your side body, because we held that twist, we did 2 rounds, and see if you notice, it might feel like spaciousness on those muscles between each pair of ribs. It might feel the same. So just see what you notice about your body, your yoga experience, how you feel, okay? Check in on the breath. Sit up again away from the back of your chair. Drop your right ear to your right shoulder. We're gonna hold here. Take a few breaths while we hold the right ear toward the right shoulder. So this is obviously stretching the left side of your neck and the top of the left shoulder. You know, a lot of students are hovering over their laptop, tablets, phones for schoolwork and socializing. And so we get a lot of tight necks in just daily living from a couple of things, and I'll talk about them in a second. Let's switch to left ear, left shoulder. So I immediately feel that my right side of my neck is tighter than my left. And as I mentioned earlier, I taught an hour class at 9 a.m. And so we did some of these same things. And this side still feels tighter. And then come up to center, turn your chin toward your right shoulder. Take a few breaths here. And then turn your chin toward your left shoulder. Take a few breaths there. And then bring your head back to center. Let's go back to the right. So turn your head to the right. I want you to nod your head yes, or nod it up and down a few times. So this stretches a different part of the neck, different muscles in the neck by moving up and down. And then I want you to hold your gaze to the right on the floor. So just hold there. Shoulders are relaxed and down. The shoulders are over the hips. So we're sitting up tall. You want to pull in your belly button a little bit for more, not really stability because we're sitting down, but just to activate the abdominal muscles, pull in your belly button. And then turn your head all the way to the left. Look up and down a few times. So nodding yes or looking up and down. And then gazing down to the floor on your left side. And then come back up to center. So when we're doing, work on the computer or on our phone, the shoulders eventually will start to roll forward and we curl our back. And that is not good. So in yoga, we think of sitting up tall where the spine is stacked on itself. And it's kind of, in the beginning, when I first started, being a yoga student, the teachers were always saying long spine, long neck, or some version of that. And it was not natural for me. And over time, because it's a yoga practice, this is, there are times throughout the day where I relax into the chair and just kind of let it all hang out. But for the majority of my standing and sitting, I'm sitting erect, shoulders over hips. I'm standing erect because as you age, your spine can be damaged from very poor posture and you get these little micro fractures that cannot be repaired. And your spine starts to not be able to support your torso. And you've seen older people that are just curved over. They cannot even come back up because they're a little too far gone with the damage of their spine. So our parents and caregivers used to always yell at us, sit up straight. It was a reason why. Sit up straight. The teachers at school, sit up straight. There's a reason why. I have 2 wild animals running around. I should have locked them up, but whatever. You guys seen them moving around. Next, we're going to do some more shoulder work. So bring your hands in front of your heart. This again is Anjali Mudra. We're going to take a breath in here. Interlace your hands. Exhale, push your hands, palms toward me, and my palms are towards you. And just hold there for a second. I want to get rid of them so they don't tear up anything else. All right, so the palms are, sorry about that. Palms are extended out, strong arms. So the arms are straight. And this is really good for carpal tunnel wrists and computer wrists, the way that we have our wrist flex like this. So we can do this as an exercise, or not a practice, not now, but just showing you how to work on your carpal tunnel and achy wrist is just moving your wrist like this. You can even do it closer. Okay, so holding here, pushing forward. That was our exhale. Okay, inhale, palms up. So back, we did this earlier. Our palms weren't flipped, but we brought the arms back by the ears. Okay, elbows are as straight as you can get them. This was our inhale. Exhale into what's called cactus arms, or it looks like a gold post. Okay, that's an exhale. Inhale back to hands in front of your heart. Interlace the hands. Exhale, push. Inhale, lift, palms up toward the sky. Exhale into feel gold. Inhale, palms in front of your heart. Exhale, palms away. Inhale, lift. Now I'm going to change this up a little. I'm going to turn sideways. This time, exhale, release the arms diagonally behind you. So this is a nice stretch for the front of your shoulder. And again, we get a condition when we are like on our laptops for years and years on the hunched over our phones. So the shoulders start to round forward. So this here lifts the chest and brings the shoulders back. Okay, so that was an exhale. And now we go back to inhale to prayer hands. Exhale, push. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower the arms diagonally behind you. Inhale, prayer hands. Now we're going to alternate prayer hands and gold post or cactus arms. Exhale, push. Inhale, lift. Cactus arms. Inhale, prayer. Exhale, push. Inhale, lift. Arms diagonal. Inhale, prayer. Exhale, push. Inhale, lift. Cactus arms. This is the last one. Inhale, prayer. Exhale, push. Inhale, lift. Arms diagonal behind you on an exhale. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Sit back. Tip your chin towards your chest and just hang there. Check on your breathing. Body scan. Assess how you feel. Your energy, your comfort, your relaxation. See if you can notice any differences in your being since we started. And again, if you don't notice anything, no worries. But you may notice something, and that is the effects of the yoga. So just check it out. Again, if you don't feel it, if you can't force a feeling, obviously. We're moving on here. So sitting up tall, away from the back of your chair. Let's see. I'm going to move on to hips and legs for a minute. So bring your hands in front of your heart. Sweep the arms out and up. Breathe in. Exhale with a flat back. We did this already. Inhale, bring the right knee up to your chest. So right knee to chest, that's an inhale. We're going to hold here. Circle the right ankle a few times. Drop the shoulders down. Shoulders are going to want to come up and help us hold the leg. We don't need their help. Sitting up tall, pulling your belly button, circling the right ankle, then circling the opposite way. And then lower right foot down, that's an inhale. And then we're going to do 2 circles either way. So circling your torso, stir the pots twice one way, and then stir the pot twice the other way. Doesn't matter which way because we're going both ways. Okay, now we're going to switch sides. Hands in front of your heart, sweep out, breathe in, arms up, flat back, forward swan dive down. Inhale, bring the left knee to your chest, shoulders stay down, circle the left ankle. So this circling brings additional blood flow to the ankle and all the bones and muscles in the foot. Each foot and hand has 26 bones. That's a lot of bones for such a small area. So reverse the circle of the left ankle and place the left foot on the floor. Going to do the circles again, 2 each way. 2, stir the pot, reverse, 2, stir the pot. Move your breath while we're doing all this. Come back to the center. We're gonna add on. So we'll go back. This time we're gonna lift the left knee again. Hands in front of your heart, sweep out, inhale. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, left knee to chest. Exhale, left foot down. Now we're gonna add what's called cat-cows. This is really good medicine for your spine. So from a neutral spine, which means just upright, we're going to lift the chest. I'm gonna turn sideways. We're arching the back and we're lifting the chest and the chin comes up a little. I don't want the head hanging behind you because that's a lot of stress on your neck. So chest lifts, chin lifts a little, back is arched a lot. This is the cow shape. Think of a cow out in the pasture if it was on its feet standing. The back is swayed. So that's the cow of the cat-cow. Traditionally, this movement was done on hands and knees, but we have made it into a chair shape. You know, I've mentioned before, most yoga poses can be done on chairs. Doesn't have to be get down on the floor on a mat. So this was our inhale. Now we move to cat. So think of an angry cat or those two cats I just dragged out of here, or Halloween cat. Curve your spine toward the back of your chair, chin to chest. So this is the cat shape. Do two more of each. So we're moving into cow. Breathe in, arch your back. Exhale to cat, curl your back. And one more set. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Come back to neutral. We're going to do the other leg now. Hands in front of your heart. Sweep out. Lift your arms. Breathe in. Exhale, forward bend. Come all the way down. Inhale, right knee to chest. Exhale, right foot down. Inhale to cow, so chest lifts, chin lifts, back arches. Curl into cat. Exhale. Two more. Inhale, cow. Exhale to cat. One more. Breathe in, chest up, chin up, arch your back. Exhale, curl. Come back to neutral. We're going to do both sides again. And while we're here, let's do a couple of stir the pots. Couldn't hurt. So again, stir the pot is really to work the hip sockets, not necessarily, even though the torso, let's reverse. The torso is doing all the movement. This is for the hip joints. And then come back to center, hands in front of your heart, sweep out, inhale. Sit up really tall. Exhale with a flat back, come all the way down. This time, bring the right knee to chest again. Inhale. Exhale, right foot down. We inhale to cow, 3 of these. Exhale to cat, 2 more. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow, number 1. Exhale, cat. Come back to neutral. Moving on to the left knee, last one. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, bring the left knee with you. Exhale, left foot down. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. One more. Breathe in. Exhale. Come to neutral. Sit back in your chair, hands on your knees or thighs. Do a body scan. We just moved around a lot of oxygen. So I don't know, the word is not woozy, because woozy reminds me of maybe like I'm about to fall over or faint. It's not a buzz. I don't know what it is, but you might feel something different. I feel a little brightness, like nothing's brighter, but I feel like just I'm seeing things more clearly from all that oxygen moving around. I don't know if you can feel anything different from that, but that is definitely, there is a definite change in our beings when we breathe, like really focused breathing, like athletes do. I mean, it has to change things because we're filling our bodies up with oxygen. Sit up tall, bring your back of your right hand to your low spine. I'll turn around so you can see. Or you can bring the right fingers toward the left hip. Okay, when you wrap your arm behind you, you might feel a little something extra in the shoulder cap, which is the front of your shoulders. Okay, so we're gonna hold here, drop your head, left ear, left shoulder. Just hold it and see if you can remember when we did this ear to shoulder thing earlier, but we didn't have the arms wrapped around us. If this feels like a deeper stretch, or it could feel the same. But just see if you notice a difference. I did not feel any of this earlier. And so now, because my arm is wrapped behind me, I feel. This is another good one to combat our forward leaning. Also, we put a lot of stress on the neck when we have our head tilted. It's called anterior head tilt. It puts a lot of stress on the neck. Our adult heads are probably around an average of 8 pounds or more on this little stick of our spine. And so when we walk around with our head in front of our spine, it taxes the spinal, that part of the neck called the lumbar, sorry, not the lumbar, the cervical spine is the neck. So we try to keep our neck long and above as an extension of the spinal column. Okay, so release the right arm. Notice how it feels when you let it go. Shake it out. I'm going to change sides. So this time the back of the left hand either touches your low spine, or you can wrap it over to the right. Drop your head to the right, near the right shoulder. So one shoulder might feel tighter than the other. One side of the neck might feel tight. They both might feel tight. Maybe neither feel tight. Just see what you feel for you, what you notice for you. So when we practice yoga, we just don't go through the moves that the teacher calls out. Okay, we want to really feel and understand the different changes of our body. So it's easy for me to just say, you know, right arm up, right arm down, turn to the left. But I'm explaining to you the theories behind some of these moves so that if you ever remember anything I say, that you could say, oh, my back hurts. The lady said, lean forward. Oh, my back hurts. The lady said, twist a little bit. That you can use these as tools in the future, not just our one time here together, or for those of you that were here last month, not just our 2 times together, but to use it as a beginning practice for yourself. Release the left arm. See how that feels when you let that out. How does that feel? And let's shake both arms and legs. Let's do that. Bring your arms up overhead and shake, 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 shake. Shake them out to the side. Shake your legs and feet. And then come still, hands on top of your thighs, chin to chest. Sit up tall. Bring your right ankle to your left knee. We're just going to lean forward and let the arms hang. That's all we're doing. Looking down toward the left foot or left toes. Just hang here. So this is a hip opener for the right side because we have our leg, knee turned out. This is a stretch for the low back. It's also a little stretch for the inside of the right thigh. These inside thigh muscles don't get much attention unless you're a dancer or a gymnast or something like that. So we have to find ways to stretch them because they get short and they get really painful over time without being used. Like anything in the human body, it kind of withers up a little bit. So looking down at the left toes and then inhale both arms up. We'll do 3 of these. Sit up really tall, arms are strong. Exhale forward. See what you feel in your low back. Breathe in, lift, strong arms, fingers up toward the sky. Exhale down, that was number 2, 1 more. Breathe in, sit up tall. And then swan dive the arms down, right foot on the floor, left ankle, right knee. So again, this is a hip opener, and you might feel something on the outside part of your hip. And I'm not speaking of the fleshy part of the hip. I'm speaking of the bone, the joint part, the hip socket and the top of the thigh bone, that part. Exhale and lean forward. Look down at the right toes, hold here. So we build resilience with yoga as one of its benefits. And it's, I was gonna say magical, it's not magical. It's just one of the things that yoga does for us. And if we practice it enough, as I mentioned earlier, it helps us through challenging times and situations. The challenge might still be there, but how we cope and deal with it definitely changes because we have new tools in our toolbox. A tool for more patience, a tool for more understanding. I mentioned the school benefits of being able to concentrate better, test better, retain information better. Inhale, lift your arms. Exhale, down. Inhale, lift. We'll do 3 all together. This is number 2. Exhale, down. And then inhale up, strong arms up. Exhale, forward. And come up. And then swan dive the arms down, left foot on the mat. We are very lucky too that we in California, I think it's considered the mecca of yoga in the United States, especially down here in LA, but I think all over California, we have a lot more, especially before the pandemic, yoga opportunities. And I want to encourage you to try to find low-cost classes or free. They are out there. They just have to be, you have to search around for them, looking on Google for like just free yoga or community yoga and the zip code you're in. And also Parks and Recs offers low cost and sometimes free yoga classes, or depending on one of a city calls it Parks and Recs, the county calls it Recreation and Parks. So, but that's the general title of these departments that have these public programs, okay? Let's see. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Oh, I know what I was gonna do. So this is gonna be helpful for the forward bending from the computer and lean forward leaning. Inhale, arms wide. Take a big breath in. Exhale, hug. Inhale, arms wide. So these backward arm motions where the chest is opening, those are really good to counteract that forward leaning, curling shoulder thing that happens after we spend too much time on our computers or leaning. Bad posture. It's not the computer's fault. It's poor posture. That's what it is. Exhale, hug. Inhale, open. We're changing the top arm each time. Exhale, hug. I want you to hold here. And I want to quickly talk about the benefit of a self-hug. So I heard Professor Jen speak of self-care day, and I stopped in my tracks. I was trying to tidy up a little bit while I was listening to her lecture. Self-care is very important. And I'm so grateful that Jenny has a day for you to practice self-care. No one will care for us better than we care for ourselves. It is no one else's job to care for us. We know what we need. The other person does not know what you need. Even if you tried to tell them, they'd have a better understanding, but we have to do for ourselves. We cannot wait. We cannot feel bad. Oh, no one's yet done this for me. Forget all that nonsense. Do it for you. Okay, so the self-hug. The body does not know if I'm hugging someone else or I'm hugging a kid or the cats. The body's response to this hug feeling is a little shot of oxytocin, which is the feel-good hormone. So you can hug yourself and get that same experience. You don't need, it's nice to have someone else give us a hug, but you don't always have that. I don't have that. So I hug myself and get that same hormonal result as if someone else hugged me, okay? Or if I was hugging a child or a dog or a puppy, whatever. So this, I want you to practice this when you're feeling scared or lonesome and all that. Just hug yourself and hold. We're holding our bodies. Just hold yourself. You can also throw in a little rocking. You know, they rock babies to soothe their nervous systems. We can rock ourselves. We don't need to be rocked. It's nice for someone else to rock us, but I do this in the car when I'm feeling overwhelmed from traffic or I'm running late or getting all like annoyed and I just start rocking in the car seat, you know. So this rocking, definitely rocking chair, that's why they were created. It's more for the nervous system than for any other reason. So you use these tools to your advantage. And again, you don't need to be in a class or any special event. You can do it for yourself. Come back to center. Inhale, lift your elbows. And then lower them. Exhale. We'll do 2 more. Inhale, lift. Lower. Exhale. 1 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Now we're going to change the top arm. Breathe out wide. Arms wide. Feel the muscles rebound. The arm muscles. Exhale, hug with the other arm on top. We're going to hold here, rock a little. rock and breathe. Just see how you feel when you do this. See if you notice any changes. And then come back to stillness. Inhale, lift the elbows. We'll do 3. Exhale, lower the elbows. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. One more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Open arms wide. Inhale. See how the arms feel. And then exhale and lower. Sit back in your chair. Take a couple breaths. Do a body scan. See what you notice. If you notice anything different. If not, that's no big deal. It's no big deal. Okay, come back up. We're going to place fingertips on our shoulders. I just want you to turn slowly side to side. This is for the spine and also for the muscles around the torso. Just you can go as fast or as slow as you want. I'm going kind of medium paced. The next time you go to your right, I want you to hold to the right. So fingertips are on the shoulders. By the way, the arms are activated. They're not dangling down with no intention. They're activated. Elbows are up. Turn to the right and hold. Take a few big breaths through your nose. And then come back all the way to the left. Take a few big breaths on the twisted to the left. And then come back to center and lower your arms, shake out arms and legs. So we're in our final minutes, and every yoga class ends with a portion called final relaxation. And what that is it allows the body to assimilate all that energy we've stirred up, all that oxygen we've stirred up, all that movement, and it sends it around the body in an even, equal way. So in a regular a class with a yoga mat, we would do this on the floor, but we are not on a yoga mat. We're in a chair, so we do what's called chair Shavasana. I want to talk about the word Shavasana. Shavasana means corpse pose, but it has a double meaning. It also means final rest. So we are going to be sitting in a seated version of Shavasana, which is shoulders down, hands wherever you want. You can hang onto your belly. Hanging onto your belly is also another way to self-soothe yourself. If you're feeling stressed out, just hang on to your belly, and that'll help to calm the nervous system. So Shavasana is a pose, and it's also a phase of the class. So I'm going to be naming a few prompts, and I just want you to follow along. If you're comfortable to close your eyes, feel free to close your eyes. You may leave them wide open. I want you to be comfortable in whatever you do, okay? I brought one of my Koshi chimes to class today. This chime is one of 4, a set of 4, and this is the one that represents water because we're so dry in this state. So sit back and be comfortable. I want you to focus your attention on your feet. Take a big breath in and then exhale. Draw your attention to your legs and arms. Take a big breath in and then exhale. Draw your attention to your spine. Big breath in and then exhale. Attention to your mind. Big breath in and exhale. Return to your natural breathing pattern. Coming back to the present moment, turn your head from side to side and wiggle your toes and fingers. Let's take a big stretch here. Last stretch of our class. Arms up, breathe in. And just stretch up, fingers as high as you can get them. Lower your arms. May you be happy. May your life have meaning. And may you be an instrument for social change. I want to thank you. This was a really big class. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend it with me. I really appreciate it. And Jenny, thank you so much. I'm so glad you had me back. And in the future, just, you know where to reach me. Just give a call. I'd like to take any questions or comments that anyone has. Just unmute and go for it.
So class, let's actually give her a hand. I just feel so much better. Everyone, let's give her a hand. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Oh, I love that there were guys here. Thank you guys for coming.
Half males. Jur, I'm gonna after you ask questions, I'll turn off the recording, but tomorrow is their self-help, self-care day. And I sort of was recommending that I wanted them to walk because our ancestors walk like 10 miles a day. So I really want to walk and look up and sort of like, I want to tell them to go into nature, like just hug a tree or just,
yes.
It's a good self-care. I mean, I know they're all individual, but what do you recommend for them to do tomorrow? Because they have no class, it's self-care day.
Nice. So I like the walking, but not just walking because Jenny said walk. I would suggest that you walk where you really look at the plants, the textures of all the different leaves, the twigs, the dirt, the mosquitoes, whatever you see, but really walk in a very, like I asked you to look around your room as if it was the first time you were there. Do a walking, it's called a walking meditation, where you're really paying attention to the sounds around you, the different smells around the area that you're walking in, because we know grass smells like one thing. If you hug a tree, the trees have energy and they are historic. They've been around, hopefully, and will stay around for way longer than we're around. But hugging the trees, sitting or lying, not necessarily in the dirt, but on the grass, and just smelling from the earth, instead of from standing position, smelling the earth while you're laying on the earth, your spine making contact with Mother Nature. Looking at flowers, the different colors of the flowers and the different types of petals the flowers have. Maybe checking out, some flowers don't have scent and some don't smell so great and others smell beautiful, but checking out the scent of the different flowers, the birds, not just saying, oh, there goes a bird, but looking at, oh, that might, you don't have to bird, like we're not bird watching, but a bluebird went by, or there's one with a red tail, or there's one, a parrot colored one. I know parrots don't live out there, but just really looking at the birds as brown bird, black bird, crow, and just things that you notice about just all the flora and fauna that are out there. Sitting by a tree with your spine on the tree and hopefully in a shady spot and just communing with nature, just not walking. Like I said, I just don't name out a bunch of things for you all to do. I want you to feel and notice what your body is going through, what we're doing together. And so the same thing with the walk. Maybe if you have access to putting your feet in water, like in some of those spaces that might have ponds or, I'm sorry, I don't know I know Fresno, but I don't know it. But if you have opportunity to even put your feet in sprinkler water, or, if there's a public park that has a pond or a pool that you can put your feet in and just really notice. If not, running water over your hands and wrists is very relaxing. And I recommend that when people are having like an anxiety attack, they can choose warm or cold, but it is said that cold water, it helps us to just assimilate our situation and kind of reset our nervous systems. So those are some of the things. Maybe trying really hard to stay off of social media for the day, for 6 hours, for 1 hour, no texting. Telling people I'm going to be unavailable tomorrow, and you have to protect yourself. You can't get drawn along and pulled along by other people's expectations. Why didn't you call me back? Because I was well, you don't have to explain why. I just couldn't. You don't owe anybody explanation either. I couldn't do it, and that's the answer. But a tech-free day, if possible. And I know that it's hard for me Sometimes I'm in bed and TikTok is my new addiction, me at my age watching, but I love it. It makes me laugh. Some of it, not some of it's junk, but I look at the humorous parts of it. But sometimes I'm in bed and I know already to get a good night's sleep, turn off all that junk an hour or more before. And I'm laying in the bed watching TikTok. So it's really hard, but we have to do it. No one else is going to do it for us. So try to have a tech-free day. My friend got engaged at work and she told her husband, she said, let's just spend the weekend, no texting to friends, because they want to tell everybody they're engaged, but they took 2 days to just be with each other in that container. And then they told their families yesterday. So they spent the weekend quiet and together, and then yesterday they announced their engagement. So the fiance made that arrangement, but he abided by it, but they did that for themselves. Of course they want to spread the word, but they waited. The world can wait. You have to take care of yourself. No one else will do it for you.
Excellent advice. Thank you.
Anyone else want to say, comment, or anything? Well, Jenny, I hope I see you again soon.
Definitely will. I'll try to get you back for my next classes. We'll
I would love that.
get funding, but thank you so
Yes.
much. I'm going to turn off the recording.
Okay.